It's the Chow Chinchows JoesphGames here, and welcome to the final two games of Season 3 of the IBL, the Indigo Battle League. These are my final two regular season games that we will be going through. The first one we were going through today is a match that was supposed to be on week 6 of the IBL, but sadly we didn't get to do it until week 9.5. But that's okay. It got done, and I'm a happy person that it got done. So we are looking at the match between the Everton Empoleons and the Torrance Victinis, round 2 of this match. So we can see that the Torrance Victinis brought with them Fortress, Celebi, Mega Swampert, Toxicroak, Metagross, their only change this season, and of course Solomon's as well. And I brought with me a little bit of a modification from the first team I brought with me from week 2. So let's have a look at this. We got Thunderous T, we got Vaporeon, we got Soul Valley Steel, we got Venusaur, which is our Mega, and of course we've got Persian, and we've got Infernape as well. So let's get on with this match. But before we get on with this match, I'm going to say both of these matches today are on Showdown. I've been having a little trouble finding people to gem my teams when I've wanted to battle people. Hopefully that's going to change in future leagues, future battles, future seasons, and we'll be back on Wi-Fi again soon enough, hopefully. That's all I'm going to say, no matter. Hopefully things will change around and I'll be able to have teams gen for me again soon. Anyway, people just don't have the time these days, and that's perfectly fine. Let's start. So I start off with James, my Mega Venusaur. As he goes into his Fortress, I Mega Evolve and go for the Earthquake, which was kind of an iffy idea, I think, on my behalf, really. But he goes to the Stealth Rocks to set them up. Here I switch into Vaporeon, which is a more better thing to deal with Fortress. But of course he goes for the Volt Switch, and of course that does some damage to my Vaporeon. He switches into his Celebi, as I switch into Sophie, which is the appropriate counter for Celebi. It goes for the Giga Drain, does quite a bit of damage to Sophie, and I'm able to get the knockoff and get rid of his Citrus Berry, as he goes for the U-turn to get the hell out of there. He goes into his Mega Swampert, Mega Evolves, as I go for the Parting Shot to get the hell out of there myself, because I don't want to deal with that. I go to Vaporeon, which is my counter for the Mega Swampert this week. He goes for the Avalanche, which does nothing to me, and switches into Toxicroak. I go for the Toxic, because that's my way of... that's what I wanted to do with Vaporeon, stall. Sadly, he goes for the Nasty Plots here, and as I go for the Wish to get my HP back, more Nasty Plots, so he's making himself even more scared. I go for the Ice Beam, does a little bit of damage but not too much, and my wish came true. Here I go for the Protect, because I see that he's +3 attack, and I do not want to take any of that. And switch out into Soul Valley Steel, who can take a Sludge Wave because he's immune to Sludge Wave. But sadly, he's not immune to this. But he did live. He did live, ladies and gentlemen. I was able to get the Parting Shot off to reduce some of that special attack into James, which was probably the better play, really, as he decides to switch out into his Solomon's. I go for the Earthquake, because I thought he might stay in with Toxicroak. He did not stay in with Toxicroak, so I go back into Vaporeon. He sets up a Dragon Dance, which is kind of annoying, and switches into Fortress. I go for the Toxic, trying to poison the Solomons, but didn't get the poison off on Solomons, as he switched into his Fortress. I go for the Wish, as he goes for the Volt Switch into his Celebi. I switch into Prototype for no reason at all. Get the Giga Drain, Sadly, I do not get my wish play, so prototype goes down. Sophie comes in. Sophie goes to foul play. He lives on 2. And a U-turn kills Sophie. He switches back into his fortress as I go into punch my Infernape. I go for the HP Ice just in case he tries to switch out. Apparently I'm choice, so I'm faster than him no matter what. He goes into his Swampert from the Volt Switch as I go into Thunderous. He goes for the Avalanche. Of course I have a berry, so I'm able to take that. And he switches into his Fortress. I tried to go for the Grass Knot because I thought he might try and stay in again and try and do another Avalanche. I go for the Incinerate this time and take down his Fortress. He switches into his Toxicroak as I go for the Thunderbolt. He lives on 10. And I go down to a critical hit, Sludge Wave. I go into James. He goes for the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse does nothing to me. I go for the Sludge Bomb and it kills off the Toxicroak. As he goes into his Solomons. I do not want to deal with his Solomons, so I go into Wet. He sets up a Dragon Dance. And switches into Celebi as I go for the Ice Beam, killing off his Celebi. And we're down to 3 apiece. Here he goes into his Metagross. He's doing Zen Headbutts to me, and they do quite hurt. I do a Ice Beam to him, and it doesn't hurt at all. But I am able to take these Zen Headbutts, and I can wish off the damage and get my HP back. So really, he can beat me up, but he's got really nothing for me. If I'd packed Shadow Ball, which I was thinking about doing on this Vaporeon set, it would have been better, really. Packing Shadow Ball to deal with the Metagross. These Ice Beams do nothing to him. And he fortunately missed that Zen Headbutt there. Sorry about the mishacks. Go for the Ice Beam, doesn't do a darn thing. He does hit his Zen Headbutt this time, as I go for my Wish. And he decides to switch out as I go for the Protect. And I get my Wish back. He goes for the Earthquake, which does do some damage to me. As I go for the Toxic on the Mega Swampert, which I'm very, very happy I got off. And now he's going to lose lots and lots of HP. So he's now cursing, which is kind of annoying. But that Toxic is going to do some nice damage to him. I'm going to set up a Wish. Go for the Protect. As he decides to curse some more. And I get my Wish back. I go for the Ice Beam, which does do some damage, not a lot, sadly. And he goes for the Earthquake. I live on 1. I live on 1. I don't know how. I honestly don't know how I lived on 1. I go for the Wish here. And sadly, I had to let Vaporeon go down. And he gets Toxic killed. But here, I go to Infernape. And set up the HP Ice, which does a lot of damage to Solomons. He sets up the Fly. I get my HP back. And at this time, I decided to switch into James and let James go down so that I could play with Solomons, because Solomons is very scary. But the fact is, I've got a Tree Scarf Infernape on my side, which is better. Flare Blitz takes down the Solomons, despite the fact that it's resisted, takes down the Solomons. And he goes into his Metagross. Another Flare Blitz from my Tree Scarf Infernape. And down goes the Metagross. And a good win for the Everton Empoleons there. A great match from the Torrance Victinis. Well done. And now we are going to head on to our second match of the day. So, here is our second match of the day. This is our Week 10 match against Northern Nation and, of course, his Las Vegas Dragonites. There we go, his Las Vegas Dragonites. So, as we can see, he's got Dragonite, he's got Florges, he's got Mega Gallade. Mega Glalie, sorry. He's got Mega Glalie, Mew, Jolteon, Aquilid, Florges, and of course his Dragonites. As I have my Mega Venusaur, got Alolan Persian, Thunderous Tihi, Diancie, Reuniclus, and we've also got our Vaporeon. I'm going to switch into slow, and let's go on with this. Okay, so I start off with my Thunderous here. As he goes into his Aquilid, I go for the Thunderbolt. He eats his Wocking Berry, which means my Thunderbolt doesn't do a lot of damage, and he goes for the Mirror Coat, which means it does a lot of damage to me. He switches into his Jolteon as I U-turn out into my Mega Venusaur. He switches out into his Mew, and I go for the Sludge Bomb, which does nothing. And I switch into Sophie. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp, which sadly burns me. But it's okay. I can take that damage as he goes into his Aquilid. As I go for the Foul Play, doesn't do a lot of damage to his Aquilid, which is annoying. I go for the Parting Shot here to reduce his stats and get the hell out of dodge, and go into Zelda. He goes for the Sticky Webs, which is kind of annoying, and switches back into his Mew. I go for Heal Bell, getting rid of all the status elements, and he sets up his Stealth Rocks. I go for the Diamond Storm, which does nothing, sadly. And he goes for the Will-O-Wisp. And then proceed to set up my own rocks. He goes for the Fog, getting rid of all of the entry hazards, and I go for the Heal Bell to get rid of my burn. So we're sort of in a stalemate here. I switch into Sophie as he goes for the Psychic, which does nothing to Sophie. I go for the Taunt to stop him from doing things like Will-O-Wisp or anything like that, which I kind of actually thought was a good play. He switches out into his Jolteon as I go for the Foul Play, which does about half the Jolteon. He goes for the Baton Pass into Florges. I go for the Taunt to stop Florges from doing anything silly. I go for the Parting Shot to get out of there, because I know I outspeed a Florges. I go into James and take the Moonblast as he decides to switch back into his Mew. I go for the Knockoff, which is does some damage and of course knocks away his lefties. I go back into Sophie, and he sets up his rocks as he goes back into his Aquilid, and I go for the Taunt to stop the Aquilid from doing anything like setting up webs. I go for the Foul Play, which does do some damage to the Aquilid, as he goes for the Leech Life, does do some damage to me, but not a lot. I switch into James, my Mega Venusaur here, as he goes for the Liquidation, and it does nothing at all. The Taunt ends, sadly, and I go for the Sludge Bomb, which does do some damage, not a lot though. Again, and here comes the Leech Life, which sadly I'm sort of in a stalemate with this thing. There's really not much I could do to it. And he can just Leech Life away and get whatever HP I take, back. He switches out into his Florges as I go for the Toxic, poisoning his Florges, which I think was actually a really good play there. He goes for the Wish as I set up the Sub. because I could just sit behind a sub and not have to deal with him here. He goes into his Jolteon as I go for the Wish to see what he's going to do here. His Wish comes true, he gets his Jolteon back up to full health. He goes for the Shadow Ball. My substitute falls as I go for the Toxic, which I think is a good play, and my Wish comes true. He switches back into his Florges as I switch back into my Mega Venusaur. Unfortunately, I was trying to go for the Synthesis here, but he's faster than me and actually has Psychic. I did not know that until I saw that turn. So Mega Venusaur goes down there, and it was sort of unfortunate. He goes for the Wish as I go back into Vaporeon. The Scald does some damage, but not a lot. And the Toxic damage and the Scald damage is doing some damage, but not a lot. And of course, he goes into his Quillid here. He lives the Scald, gets the Wish, and Quillid's back up to almost full health. I go for the Toxic here, poisoning the Aquilid, because there's really not much else I can do to this Aquilid. And here he switches it back into Jolteon. As I go for the Scald, does a little bit of damage to Jolteon, but not a lot. And I switch into my Diancie. As he goes for the Shadow Ball, which does some, not a lot. And he's got the Toxic, which does more damage to him. He goes into his Itsy Bitsy, as I went for the Moonblast, because I didn't realise he was going to go into Itsy Bitsy. I could have gone for the Diamond Storm and got rid of it, really. That's probably what I should have done if I noticed he was going to do that. He goes for Liquidation. Of course, I switch into my Vaporeon. Water Absorbers, I think. He goes to his Glalie. We go for the Scald, which does do some damage. He Mega Evolves and does the Freeze Dry, which does do some damage to me. I go for the Scald again, taking me down to 17%. And I know I outspeed this thing, so I probably could have got the kill. He goes for the Freeze Dry again, as I go for the Wish. Could have gone for the could have gone into somebody else, really. As he goes for the Earthquake here, does do a lot of damage. I live on 6, but I get the Wish. He goes for the Earthquake again, does do a lot of damage, takes me down to 34 as I go for the Diamond Storm and take down the Glalie. He goes into his Dragonite and tries to set up a Dragon Dance, which is kind of annoying. I go for the Moonblast, which does barely anything. I probably should have gone for the Diamond Storm and I would have done more. He Earthquakes me and down goes my Diancie. I go into Thundurus here as he switches into his Aquilid. I went for the Hidden Power Ice because I thought he might try and stay in, and I knew I would outspeed even if he Dragon Danced. I went for the Thunderbolt here and of course take down his Aquilid. He goes into his Jolteon and kills off Thundurus with the Shadow Ball. As I go into Jelly Baby here and switch back into Sophie. He goes for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is resisted and doesn't do a lot of damage, but he does take some toxic damage, which I like. He goes for the Shadow Ball again. Unfortunately, I don't outspeed and down goes Sophie. This poison damage is doing rather nice things to him. He takes Vaporeon down with a Shadow Ball as well, but this time he will go down to the poison. The Jolteon is down. And he goes into his Dragonite as I go into Jelly Baby. He goes for the Z Supersonic Sky Strike Z-Fly. I live on 3. I don't know how I lived on 3. I got the Calm Mind off because that was my plan, really. And then he goes for the Outrage, outspeeding me, and sadly, Jelly Baby goes down. And New Nation Gaming is able to take the victory here against me here in week number 10. So well done to New Nation Gaming, a good fight there, and we'll see what happens from here on. There's a possibility that the Everton Empoleons could go to playoffs. It's all down to math at the end. If I had beaten Northern Nation, it would have been a certainty, but it's all down to math at the end, and I don't know, but we'll see what happens. I just want to say I've had a great season, I've had some fun, and I've really enjoyed this season in the IBL. Regardless of whether I go into playoffs or not, I had a lot of fun, I enjoyed myself, and I quite learned a bit about my battling style. So I definitely really liked using this team that I've had for the season. So I'm definitely learning where I went wrong. I'm definitely learning where my plays are, and I definitely want to keep doing Draft League. Definitely want to keep doing Draft League and learn and grow and do more and become a better Draft League player. So, of course, if you enjoyed these two matches, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But until next time, I am JoesphGames, your coach of the Everton Empoleons, and we'll either see you next week for week 1 of the playoffs, or we'll see you next season for season 4 of the IBL, the Indigo Battle League. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Also follow me on Twitter at JoesphGames, where you'll find out when I upload next. Also, if you want to see some more videos, there should be some in the top right and top left hand corner of this end card. So until next time, I'm JoesphGames, and I am out. See you again.